everyone, Ashley here with Keeping It Crafty with Ashley. I am so honored to be here with you all today. I will be showing you how to paint these beautiful little hearts with just using your dotting tool. So I decided to start off with the biggest ballpoint size that this type of dotting tool has to offer. As you know, these have a variety of sizes, and there are also dotting tool rods. But I decided to start with this one because it usually comes in your basic set. And then here I have a drag tool. This is just a needlepoint drag tool that I like to use to bring down the points. So let's get started. And I forgot to mention too that I also want to show you guys how to incorporate your hearts into a mandala. So this is a mandala that I just created off the top of my head. That's how I usually do my mandalas. I kind of just go with the flow, and however I'm feeling is what happens. So at the end of this, once we're comfortable with painting our hearts, I will show you how to incorporate them into a mandala. So as you can see here, I have already started some hearts for you to see them all finished and dry. I have also drawn some guidelines with pencil so that it's easier to see where to drag your point down. So I'm going to first start by pulling from this lavender, and I want to make sure that my tool is loaded up. So I'm just going to swirl the dotting tool in the paint, make sure I've got it loaded up, and I'm going to place 2 dots. I'm going to pull again from the purple, and I'm going to place the second dot right next to the first until they're gently kissing, and you want them to kind of look like that. Then I'm going to take my drag tool, and on either side of the dot, on the outside, we're going to pull the paint down to the line. Move this. I'm going to spin it around, and it's easier too sometimes to move whatever you're painting on to be able to drag down to that point. And then we're going to pull from that dot, the 2 dots, and just fill it in. There's our first heart. So now the second one, same thing. So we're going to place our first dot, grab from our paint pot again, make sure it's loaded up with paint because we want to be able to drag it down, place the dot so that it's slightly kissing. On the outside of the first dot, we're going to pull down to our line. And on the outside of our second dot, pull down to create that point. And then we're going to pull down from each dot to fill it in. And we're just going to keep doing that. Okay, so I've already drawn my guidelines on here. This is just a blue charcoal pencil, super easy to wipe off with a baby wipe. And then this is a 5-inch stencil that I use to create my guidelines. We're going to start by placing the center dot with my purple acrylic rod. Right here in the center. And then we're going to take the white tool here, and we're going to take the smaller end of the white tool, and we're going to grab this lavender, and we're going to place a dot at the top, grabbing more paint, the bottom, and I'm going to turn my turntable at the top again, and this is the way I like to dot when I need even spaces. We're going to go to the top, in between these two, and then I'm going to use that as a guideline to the bottom. So I'm going to go right over the top of the bottom one, in between, the top in between. Flip it over again. So nice having this Lazy Susan, so I don't have to pick up and grab it. And now all the dots are even. Now some more fun. We're going to place our first set of hearts. And I use True Red. And you can use any colors you want. You don't have to use these colors. I just thought it would be good for Valentine's Day coming up. So with that same size tool, I'm going to grab some paint and I'm going to place a dot there. And we want them to gently kiss. And then I've got my handy dandy drag tool, and then I'm going to bring it down to a point. And then we're going to fill it in. Look how awesome that looks already. I'm going to do it again. Grab some more of that True Red, place a dot to the right of the purple, grab more paint. I'm going to place this dot to the left of that purple, and we're going to make sure they gently kiss. Outside of the heart, we're going to drag it down to a point. Outside of the left dot, down to a point, and we're going to pull the paint down to fill it in. So you're going to continue to do that around. Okay, so you have finished the first row of hearts. How do they look? I'm sure they look great. So now we're on to the next step of the mandala. We're going to do some swooshes. So you're going to take this blue tool, your blue dotting tool, and we're going to use the biggest size on the blue tool. So you're going to pull your next paint color. This is like a light purple for me. I'm going to place the first dot about there. I want it to be right underneath this first ring of guideline. And I'm going to use my pink drag tool. And we're going to gently, slowly drag it to a point, just like we do with our hearts. And I'm just going to shape the swoosh a little bit here to the point. There's your first swoosh. Pull more paint. In my case, it's this light purple. Place it right under that first ring guideline. And we're going to do the same. Just pull our paint down like we do with our hearts down to a point. Then I'm just going to shape the swoosh. And then we're going to continue doing this all the way around just like we did our hearts. Okay, so now that you've finished the row of swooshes, it's time to start walking the dots around the swooshes. And if you've forgotten, this is what it's going to look like when you're finished. So we're right at this point here around the swoosh. So let's get dotting. So we're going to go back to our white dotting tool, and we're going to use the smaller end of the dotting tool, of the white one. So grab your white dotting tool, and I'm just going to place it at the top of each swoosh. Now we're going to take our yellow dotting tool, our stainless steel dotting tool, and use the smallest end of it. And then we're going to pull that same paint color, and we're going to walk the dots around. And we're going to continue around on either side. Okay, so now we're going to pull from the red, and I'm going to use the same dotting tool, the yellow, but I'm going to use the bigger side of the yellow dotting tool. Make sure my tool is loaded with paint. I'm going to place the next row of walking dots at the top, like so. And then just like we did with the pink, we're going to use the smallest side of the yellow rod, the yellow dotting tool, and we're going to walk the dots the same way. Just like so. Okay, so we're done walking the dots around the red. So now we're going to do the swooshes next. So we're right here at this point, the purple. So we're going to use that same tool, the yellow, the bigger size. Pull that lavender, make sure it's loaded up. And place that top dot. Okay, so now that we've placed the purple top dots, time to drag the paint. So I'm going to use the smaller side of the same tool, of that yellow dotting tool, the smaller size. Grab more of that purple, and I'm going to start here as if I'm going to place a dot, and then I'm going to slowly drag the paint down and around. And we're just going to slowly work our way around, making sure our tool is loaded with paint so that we're able to drag it and around and down. And we're going to continue that. Okay, so now we're on to creating more hearts. You're going to grab your blue tool and use the bigger end of the blue tool. You're going to make sure you grab enough paint, and you're going to place the first dot and the second dot, and you kind of want to make sure that the crease of your heart is center with the bottom here, if that makes sense. Because you want, and I'll show you why, when you pull down, you kind of want that to be your guideline to where your point is for your heart. So you're going to drag the outside of those dots down to a point, and then pull from the dots to create your heart. I'm going to do it again. Make sure that we're pulling enough paint because we want enough to be able to drag down. And you want to center the crease of your heart with this here. So then you're going to place your second dot on the opposite side. You want them to gently kiss, and so the crease should line up right about here. You're going to grab your drag needle, your dragging tool, and drag the paint down to a point, and you're going to do it on the other side. Drag it down to a point. And then we're going to pull the paint down. And then we're going to continue around with our hearts. Okay, so we're going to use the same tool, the blue one, and then we're going to place a dot right above the crease of the heart using the smaller side of the blue tool. Grab paint, place it over the crease of the heart like so, and we're going to go around. Now we're going to do the same thing but with the opposite side of the tool, the bigger side of the blue tool. The same color, place it right over top. Now we're going to grab the yellow dotting tool and we're going to use a smaller end and we're going to walk the dots. Right around the heart, just like we did with the swooshes. Okay, so the next step is to do our swooshes at the top. So I'm going to grab some paint and I'm going to use the same size that I was just using to walk the dots. And remember, that was the blue dotting tool with the smallest end. So I'm going to grab some paint and I'm going to pull down and around. And I'm placing my dot to the right of the top dot. If I feel like I don't have enough paint to drag, I'm going to go grab more. Place the dot and I'm going to drag it. Drag the paint down and around, down and around. To the right of the top dot. I'm going to drag it down and around. And continue. Now we're going to start the swooshes around here. Have them fan out. So I'm going to pull the first color, place it right next to the right of this swoosh, and we're just going to follow it around. Just going to follow that swoosh around. Moving on to our next color, which I'm going to use white. Whoops, I made a little mistake, but we can fix that real quick. There. No big deal. All right, going back to white, using the smaller end of the blue dotting tool, and we're just going to follow the swoosh around. Okay, so we're going to continue on creating these swooshes. I've got 2 more colors to go, so let's get it done. Okay, so now that these swooshes are done, we get to move on to the next part, which is going to be our gold hearts right here in the corner. So we're going to use the white dotting tool, but the bigger side. Grab some of that gold. I'm going to place the first dot there, second dot right about there. Make sure they're kissing. You want them to slightly kiss so that you can have that nice little crease. And on the right side of the second dot, you're going to pull down, and on the outside of the first dot, you're going to pull down to a point. And then we're going to fill it in, drag it all down with your drag tool. Do the same thing here. First dot, second dot, make sure they're slightly kissing. Whoops. Then we're going to drag the paint down to a point, like so. Okay, so we're just about done with the base layer of this mandala, and I absolutely love it. I hope you have been enjoying this video as much as I have been enjoying doing this tutorial for you. So now what we're going to do is grab our green dotting tool, and we're going to use the biggest side of the tool. So grab your green tool, and I'm going to grab some gold, and I'm going to place it at the top of the purple swooshes, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to use the other end, the smaller end of the green dotting tool, and we're going to walk the dots along the edge here. Till they get about that small. Okay, so we have finished the first layer of dots. So now we need to let it dry so that we can place some top dots. See you in a few. So now it is all dry and we can put our top dots on. So the center dot, we're going to go a little bit smaller and right over the pink, hit it with a white top dot. And then I'm going to take my yellow dotting tool and use the smallest end, the smaller end I should say, and right over this light purple, we're gonna drag it straight down. Again, drag it straight down. Okay, and now I'm gonna show you how you can do top dots on top of the hearts. So I'm going to use the same tool, just the bigger side. grab some paint. We're going to stick with this gold. Dot there, dot there. We're just going to drag it down like we would normally. And there's your top dot heart, or top heart. There, there. Bring it down. So now we're going to do the top heart on the bigger one, and we're going to use the same size tool. And we're going to put the 2 dots, and I just loaded this tool up a little bit more with paint. And we're going to drag it down to a point. There's your heart. I think top dots really add so much dimension to mandalas. It's my favorite part because I know I'm almost finished with it, and then I really get to see my piece come together. Okay, so we have finished putting all the top dots on except for one, but I have to let that middle piece dry. So we're gonna let this dry and we'll put that final top dot on together. Okay, so here is our final top dot. We're gonna go in with our green dotting tool, the bigger size. Grab some gold. Place it right on top of that white. And there it is. Here is our mandala that we painted today.